All right, we are live. Hey, hey, hey. Live to fight another day with SDP on MMA. I'm Shadow Don. I'm joined by Skylar Don. Together we are SDP on MMA. Man, I tell you what, after this weekend, we got a ton to talk about. We will save all that for our post-fight analysis. You'll find that in the timestamps that'll be listed below there in the info section. As always, we'll have all the fights on our predictions for the upcoming fight predictions for UFC Fight Night 120, Poirier versus Pettis, Saturday, November 11th in Norfolk, Virginia. You can watch that live on FS1, by the way. And we will put, like I said, we'll put our predictions with timestamps there in the info as well. And then at the end, you can catch our post-fight analysis on UFC 217 Bisping versus St. Pierre. What an incredible night. So I can't wait to just get into that as well. So we'll kind of try to keep it brief. We've got a lot of fights to cover on this card. But again, man, exciting weekend. Lots to talk about there. And a lot coming up on this card as well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. And you're right. There is a lot to talk about with this card. And there's especially a lot to talk about last week with all three champions losing their belts. So, yeah, go ahead and leave us some comments. And remember to check us out on Instagram and Twitter at SDP_MMA. We're inspiring conversation, and we want to talk it all. So, bring it.
Absolutely. A quick shout-out to Will Martin, man. Appreciate you giving us a shout-out last weekend on our predictions. It was really cool. Whatever you did might have set us off because we sure did get a lot of subscriptions last weekend. So once again, man, much love to you, dude. We listen to you every week. We love what you're doing, and we're always listening. So, yeah, man, good to have you on our side. So, yeah, we'll jump right in, man. So here we go. What do we got? First fight of the night on the card, Fight Night Poirier versus Pettis, comes up with Darren Stewart versus Karl Roberson in the middleweight division. And, man, this is one to talk about because I got to tell you right off the bat, don't take me on anything I'm going to say about this because, to be honest, I'm not sure about this fight. There's not enough information out there for me to study on Roberson to give my a real educated opinion here. I can just tell you what we've seen, what we know. Whereas with Stewart, there's a little bit more information there. He's from London, England, trains at MMA Clinic. His trainer's Paul Hines. He's been with Paul Hines from the beginning. I watched his debut fight versus Brazilian Francimar Barroso at light heavyweight, and that fight was stopped from an accidental headbutt. They fought again in March of this year, and, man, it was a banger. Derek took round one in my personal opinion. Judges may not have seen it that way, but Barroso used his size and his large frame to just ride on Stewart most of round two, and he tired Darren out a bit. The third round was just a bit more of that. There was a lot of striking, a good exchange on their feet. In my opinion, it could have gone either way, but ultimately the judges scored it in Barroso's favor, and he won by unanimous decision. Stewart visibly had difficulties due to the size difference. More and more as the fight progressed, really longer it went, I started seeing more holes in the game. However, I will say he had some good takedowns. I like how he charges forward with powerful strikes. He's got really good feet work. I saw some good knees while they were in the clinch. This guy's a black belt in Taekwondo, and you could see it in his movement and in the blows he delivers. And he delivered and took some heavy blows. My take on Roberson, again, this kid, 26 years old, 5-0 record right now. He's a former Glory kickboxer from New Jersey. He was the guy discovered on the Contenders Series in the light heavyweight division with a big win over Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, who fights out of Beaumont, Texas, by the way, I found out. By an instant first-round finish, he was just destroyed. I'm not telling you, got to go watch it. Ryan Spann, I don't even think he know what hit him. It was an instant first-round finish from elbow strikes. Ryan came in for the takedown, pushed Karl up against the fence, and he just delivered some vicious blows and put him out of his misery quick. He trains at Killer Bee Combat Sports Academy under Brian Wright. Trains with Wiedemann, Edgar, Alvarez, Wonder Boy. Real explosive fighter from what I can tell. Got a high level of energy. I just don't know how long this guy can go. I don't know what his tank looks like. I don't know really a lot about him. I'm leaning only on what I've seen, and that's that big, heavy hand. At first, like I said, don't take my word for it. I was leaning Stewart all the way up until today. Today, I watched that I went out and watched the Contender Series on Fight Pass. Saw that fight again, and now I am leaning towards Roberson. I'm choosing Roberson by round 2 TKO knockout. Tell me what you got.
What I got's not much different from what you got. I'm happy you watched that film because it explains why we're making this pick. You got to go see Roberson's elbows to Span's temple. And if you guys know anything about Ryan Spann, is he was expecting to get that call, that fight. Roberson, I think, took the fight on short notice. And so Spann came in thinking he was just going to dominate in front of Dana and get the call. And then Roberson ends it in round 1 in 15 seconds, right? So,
Boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean, it was quick, it was smooth, it was vicious. But we haven't seen a whole lot out of him. But what we did see versus Spann, which is a great wrestler, and he's super tall, has a lot of range, is Roberson is pretty good on his back foot against the fence, which you're going to need that if Stewart's going to start throwing those takedowns. So, yeah, I'm good here with Robertson first round KO.
Well, that's good because Vegas has him favored. -210, Darren Stewart at +170. So, yeah, man, that pretty much kind of leans the way we're seeing it, I guess. I didn't realize that had kind of pushed its way into Robertson's favor, but I'm happy to see it. So, yeah.
ABK.
Yeah, let's see how that one goes. The next fight on the card is, who is it? Jake Collier in the light heavyweight division versus Marcel Fortuna. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, this one's a scrap. Fortuna likes to bang on his feet, but he's really, really good on the ground. He likes to throw side chokes in and rear naked chokes. And we're two guys that really appreciate that, especially people who can do it right. He lost to Jordan Johnson in a 3-round decision, but I'm not counting this kid out. He's straight out of Brazil. He's got the Ralph Gracie jiu-jitsu background, and he's doing wrestling and kickboxing training at AKA with who are those boys at AKA? I'm blanking out. There's so many.
I was going to say, which fighters? I mean, which division? Which weight class? There's tons of them.
So he's training with talent and lots of it. And Jake Collier, I like this kid too, but the problem is he's training at Pitt MMA and his development isn't there yet. He likes to scrap. He can knock you out. He can submit you. But he also gets knocked out because the fundamental groundwork hasn't been laid and perfected. So you see a lot of over projected shots and, just this Jorge Masvidal type of style fighter where he just wants to scrap with you, and Fortuna is more thought out and schematical. So I'm going to go Fortuna. What did I write down here? Oh, round 2 submission for Fortuna.
Well, man, I'll tell you that I'll just tell you right now, I'm going Fortuna by decision. Collier, fighting out of Team Pitt MMA out of Missouri under Matt Smith. Those boys are heavy too. And did you? I don't know if you saw that fight. I think you did. I think we watched it together. That last fight against Devin Clark in April of this year. He was in the middleweight division in that one. And man, Collier put up a good fight. He lost that by unanimous decision, but Jake was able to withstand vicious blows from Clark, who's a really heavy hitter. And I thought Collier showed really good combos. His hits to the body and the legs all in concession. I like that. I'm anxious to see what he's going to accomplish at light heavyweight, without having to make the heavy cut. Fortuna, he was on the Ultimate Fighter 23. He lost to Corey Hendricks in the preliminaries on that. His first fight in the UFC, he got Performance of the Night versus Anthony Hamilton at heavyweight. He got a huge first-round knockout in that fight. I like how he closes the distance really quickly. He's got amazing takedown defense, obviously heavy hands, huge overhand right. He switches his stance fluidly. I really like that. And he negated the wrestling in both matches versus Hamilton and in his last fight versus Jordan Johnson. Johnson did win that by unanimous decision, but he only won because he outstruck Marcel. So this one isn't, again, there's a lot of fights on here that I'm just not really confident to just tell you, yeah, this is it. However, I feel pretty good saying Fortuna, and I just not sure he can get the job done by knockout or submission on Collier. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel pretty safe by calling him. However, I'm taking him by decision. And Vegas odds have Marcel favored at -225 and Collier at +175. So, again, I think we got a good pick in Fortuna.
Yep, I think you're right.
So, our next fight is Court McGee, welterweight division, and versus Sean Strickland. And I like this matchup, man. I like Court McGee. You know, Court came out of the Ultimate Fighting season. He was the season 11 winner. And, you know, if Court can overwhelm Sean the way Usman did, he could probably grind out a win here. I'm leaning towards Strickland here. Strickland's from Corona, California, trains at Millennia MMA. I like those guys coming out of Millennia. He's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His last fight versus Usman, he just got outworked by Usman. I mean, he lost by unanimous decision, but he managed to go the whole distance. Strickland's tough. He just couldn't put anything together in that fight, and that fight showed the correct game plan in defeating Strickland, in my opinion. I think if McGee watches that fight, he's going to see the answer. It's just, can McGee can he execute the same thing? You know, going back and watching the fights, Court McGee's previous fights, he's one of those fighters that I'm not sure who's going to show up. And, you know, if you look at his record, it's just such an in and out of wins and losses that it's really hard for me to be sold on him, because it literally, it's a loss. His last loss to Ben Saunders back in January of this year. Before that, he had to win over, you know, a powerhouse like Dominic Steele and won that by unanimous decision. Before that, huge TKO loss to Ponzinibbio. You know, shows that, you know, he can be knocked out, you know, with the right punch. And literally, it just goes like that. Win, loss, win, loss. Man, just tough. 24 matches on his side, 18 wins, only 3 by knockout. That tells me this guy relies on his wrestling. He falls back on that. He uses that. He grinds it out. He does have a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Again, another one of these ones where personally I struggle. I went back and forth on this, and ultimately I decided on Strickland like you did for the decision.
Yep, Sean Strickland by decision here. I just think that, I don't know, man. You get this feeling that Court McGee's on his way out, and it sucks to say that because he's really talented in a lot of areas of fighting, but I don't know. I think he's getting older. I think mileage is catching up to him. The chin's getting weaker. And the way I like to look at this fight is Strickland went 3 rounds with Santiago Ponzinibbio and lost by unanimous. And Court McGee got put out in the first round. So I don't know. Maybe that's a key fight point there. But yeah, no. Sean Strickland by decision. And I could also see Strickland getting a KO here, but it's got to be early. But I'm going to go with decision.
Well, we've got Vegas on our side. They've got Sean Strickland -230 and Court McGee +180. So far these are lining up in our favor, at least as far as Vegas is concerned. That's always good to see.
Well, we learned from last weekend that our fucking odds do not matter.
Oh, right. But we'll get to that, man. Don't blow this for me, right? I'm having a good time thus far. Okay, so our next fight is It's women's strawweight, and it is Angela Hill versus Nina Ansaroff. And, you know, I was looking at, this is one that I was kind of really having to look at simply because Angela Hill, you know, she's got cardio for days and she'll go hard. And I've been watching Nina only recently. I didn't know a whole lot about her. I became interested, actually, when I found out she was Amanda Nunes' girlfriend. And then I was like, well, who's this chick? Who, you know, she's got to be good. She's fighting out of the same camp. And I've been pleasantly surprised, you know. She fights out of Florida, out of ATT. She's got a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She trains with Amanda Nunes. She's surrounded by, you know, studs at every aspect of the game. Is she there yet? I don't know. Hill, like I said, Muay Thai kickboxer. She's a southpaw. The cool thing about Angela Hill is she got picked up by the UFC, and I don't know how many fights she had, but she got dropped. She went into Invicta, became the Invicta strawweight champion, and then UFC pulled her right back and re-signed her. And yeah, man, it's, you know, she's like I said, she's got a heart, and she goes the distance when I think she's gonna somehow gas out, and when I think she's given too much, I figure, wow, she's not gonna have power behind her shots anymore. And she does tend to fade a little bit towards the end of the fight, but she's pretty consistent in the cardio, man. She surprised me. So this was tough for me, and again, I'm going to tell you flat out, this is not a perfect pick for me by any means. I feel maybe that this is one of those ones where I'm hoping that Nina is growing and she's maturing, and maybe I just want her to get this win. I don't know, because I just didn't feel real comfortable with it. Hill hasn't done anything to be overly impressive at all to me as of yet. And Nina is tough. She's a little bit larger frame. She's a big girl. She's strong as hell. I'm thinking maybe Ansaroff by decision. But again, that's a big maybe. So tell me what you think. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this fight's one big maybe for a couple of different reasons. Angela Hill, she throws really crisp, quick shots, and they're usually right down the pipe, so there's not much time to breathe if she is throwing, so you kind of got to watch out. And then you got Nina, who, you know, she comes equipped with a lot of different skills, especially being from American Top Team and training with the best in the world. You know, but at the same time, she's one out of the last 3 fights, and that was Jocelyn Lone's Liebarger, and it took 3 rounds to do it. And I don't know, I'm not sold with Ansaroff here. She is the bigger fighter, so if you like that, then this might be your chick. But I like the way Angela throws, and she won't give up. Like, you really have to make her tap or put her lights out to make her stop. And even when she goes to the ground, she's aggressive and constantly wanting to win. So I'm going to hope that the fighter that's been put through hell and back shows up and dominates here. Okay. And I think that she's going to do it by decision. So you went decision Ansaroff, and I went decision Hill.
Well, she's a tough chick, man. You know, she went all 3 rounds with Jessica Andrade, and yeah. Man, you know, that's a hard fight to even stay awake in. You know what I'm saying? Andrade can put you to sleep. But her last win was over Ashley Yoder, and that was back in July of this year. And it was she won that by unanimous decision. She goes the distance. I mean, if you look at her record, she doesn't have a lot of exciting finishes. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. She's got a hell of a kickboxing record. You know, she's 16-0 in kickboxing, and yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Again, this one was a tough one for me because she's a tough chick. Angela can definitely bang. I just haven't seen her really do anything that made me go, wow. So Angela Hill is favored. She's got -200. Ansaroff is plus 160 by Vegas odds right now, and that's okay. I'm feeling okay with that Ansaroff as my underdog there. I probably am going to leave this one out of my picks though. It's just too close. I could have said that about the first fight as well. I don't trust it enough, and I'm probably not going to have it included in my parlays.
Well, both fighters are still developing in so many areas of their games that you're right. It makes it very hard to be confident in either chick.
Right. All right. Well, our next fight is in the lightweight division. We got Sage Northcutt, Super Northcutt, versus Michel Quinones.
I think American Top Team is going to show up here. I'm smelling a round 2 TKO from Quinones. That might be a jump. It might be a stretch. I think this is going to be a banger either way. These two have degrees, or whatever you want to call it, in stand-up fighting. Sage throws the most incredible spinny shit. Hasn't been doing it lately because he's been losing, but he throws spinny shit from all over the place. But we've seen where his weakness is, and that's the ground. And Quinones he doesn't prefer the ground. He wants to stand and bang with you. And that got him caught in his last fight against Jared Gordon. That was a TKO in round 2. But, how my feelings on Jared Gordon. I think that dude's going to really, really go somewhere. But I think that Quinones is going to be driven off the loss of his first UFC entrance. And I can't remember if he took that fight on short notice or not, but either way, man, I like what this kid's doing. He throws hard, he throws heavy, fights long, and I think Sage, we've just seen too many holes in the game plan, especially his chin.
So you got Quinones, what did you say?
Round 2 KO.
Round 2 KO. All right, well, I struggled with this one. I went back and forth. I had Quinones originally. I like Northcutt. He's from Katy, Texas. He's a hometown Texas boy. He trained originally at Gracie Barra, or Barra, I'm not sure how you say that, but he's a Gracie boy. Worked under Zahabi at TriStar. He's jumped around kind of trying to pick up skills with different coaches, and he's young, so he can afford to do that. He's, of course, skilled in karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He continues to improve. Right now, he claims that he's officially with Team Alpha Male. I don't know if you saw that announcement. So he's working on that ground game. That you talked about, that weakness. He knows it, and I'm hoping that he's able to kind of close those gaps there. The last fight with Mickey Gall, he just couldn't stop the takedown by Gall, and he spent way too much time on his back. But they were shit talking, and it was nice to see an attitude from Sage for the first time. I remember both of us looking at each other and going, "Man, Sage is talking shit," and it was almost shocking because it showed almost yet again maybe another step in his evolution. Where he's throwing away that nice boy attitude in the ring. Because this isn't friendly. This is take your head off. Sage got rocked by a huge right hand, and Gall jumped right on Sage, and he sunk a rear naked choke in for the win. He's another fighter that I'm really anxious to see what happens, in this lower weight class. Him coming down, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Quinones, awesome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist. This is his first UFC fight at lightweight. And, he usually fights at featherweight, so he's coming up. His debut in the UFC, you mentioned that win over Jared Gordon.
Loss.
Oh, took a TKO from Jared Gordon. So, my bad, I read that wrong. And, as I watched that, I really felt like he felt really comfortable as long as he was at range. But he's not as an effective striker once he gets in close. It was just a different ballgame. He couldn't handle Jared's wrestling at all. Maybe I just really want to see Northcutt improve and become what I think he's capable of. But something's urging me to take Northcutt, and I don't know why. But like I said, up until today, I had 3 other fights with totally different fighters, and today I've decided to switch over to Northcutt. I'm going to take him by decision. We'll see. Right? I'd like to be able to come back here and say that I saw something that maybe a lot of people didn't. But, let's see. Let's see what the odds reflect. Got Sage Northcutt slightly favored at -170. Michel at plus 140. So, that's too close to call. In my opinion, that's anybody's game. So, yeah, man, good luck to you, dude. I like to see that we both are going different there.
And to anybody betting, you might be good on the dog here. Just saying, Sage is dropping more weight to come down, and Michel's just eating cheeseburgers. So, there's not much of a cut there if you're expecting this to go rounds.
Right. Okay, our next fight is in the women's strawweight division. I'm excited about this matchup for some weird reason. It's Tatiana Suarez versus Viviane Pereira.
Viviane Pereira.
Yeah. Yeah. Pereira, I think is how I heard them pronounce that.
Papaya.
So, papaya. So, Brazilian, that's why we're sitting here. You always got to read those names differently. It's always wrong, too. So, again, I'm excited about this fight. Suarez is two-time bronze medalist in World Championship of Freestyle Wrestling. And in 2011, she was ranked the #1 freestyle wrestler in the United States in her weight division. While she was training for the 2012 Summer Olympics, she suffered a neck injury. I got this little tidbit off of Wikipedia, but that took her out of her Olympic, her Olympic dreams. She moved on to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she began training in MMA. I didn't know anything about her until I saw her on Tough, and in that she was just unstoppable. She went on to win the series, and man, I heard somebody saying that we just haven't seen enough of her. We don't really know what her game is. She had I think a knee injury on her last fight, so she hasn't fought for a while. But I thought she was super impressive, man. I was excited. This was the girl I told you about when I was watching the season, and I had mentioned her, so I didn't know if you had put the pieces together as to who she was. But this was the girl when I was watching the girls' season with Claudia and Joanna, and she was so impressive, man. She really dominates on the ground. I just don't know how much of the stand-up game she's going to be able to take, because Pereira, whatever, man. Her chick, VP, this girl, man, she's impressive too. Brazilian. She trains at Dragon Gym. She's really strong. She's got a large upper frame, moves forward, like really aggressive. She seems to fight pretty smart. The funny little story about her is she got into fighting through like a social project. I don't know if it was through school or college or what it was, but she just went in to learn about the sport. She ended up taking a fight in amateur and fell in love with the sport, and then started training full time. But yeah, man, she's a little beast, dude. She's kind of a bulldog, and it was really hard for me to kind of get a take on this. Simply because I don't feel like there's enough on either one of them to really make a serious call. They're both going into this undefeated. Suarez is 5-0. VP is 13-0. And Suarez got most of her wins by submission. And then you've got VP. She's got quite a few wins by TKO. Knockout, and the rest, 50% of them by decision. So, man, this one was tough. Also, Suarez is the taller fighter by 4 inches. They're only 2 years apart, 26 and 24. But Suarez has got such an amazing, she's got 67-inch reach over VP's 63-inch reach. This is really hard for me, man, because VP is she's a bulldog, dude. It's going to be tough to beat her, but all I have to lean on is this incredible ground game that Suarez has, her ability to sink submissions. The guillotine, she seems to have that down. I don't know what's going to happen here. Again, man, I hate to just throw these out there and tell you I have no idea what's going to happen, but I feel like Suarez is going to do it. I took her by round 2. I'm being bold by submission.
Very nice. Yeah, this one's really hard to call because both females are undefeated, and one clearly has a lot more fights, and the other one clearly has a better wrestler background. So, yeah, man, it's really tough. But I would think if old Papaya can come in and put Valerie Letourneau down and Jamie Moyle down, well, not down, but 3-round decision victories. I think if you can do that, you're good here. Like, do you think Suarez's ground game is as good as Letourneau's?
I think it's from what I saw, she's just really comfortable on the ground. Like, it seems like that's where she likes to be. Everything about her says submission, submission, submission. I mean, she's got the reach. She's long and lanky. Yeah, man, it's going to be hard. I mean, if it doesn't go that way, I'll be surprised.
This fight trips me out because VP, she just beat Valerie Letourneau, and Valerie's 5'7", and she trains at American Top Team, and she's from Montreal, so she hung out with TriStar.
Yeah.
And she lost against VP, and I don't know, like.
But she couldn't finish her.
Yeah. I don't think I'm looking for a finish in this fight.
You think it's go all the way, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking for more of a keep trying to take my little ass down while I pop you off with shots.
Well, and let me tell you, Vegas has got Suarez at -285. VP at +225. So if this is your dog, I mean, there's a good dog for you.
Yeah, I'm taking VP by decision.
All right. Then we move on. We'll come back and talk about that one for show. Our next fight, John Dodson, bantamweight division versus Marlon Moraes. Please please enlighten me because I'm struggling with this fight.
Are you?
Well, I mean, I've got a choice right now, but it could change any minute.
Huh. Gotcha. Well, I really like Dodson in this matchup. I believe in this kid's movement. When he loses, it's by a decision. And the one thing you got to give to Dodson is he always shows up. Like you're never like, where are you? It's the same game plan. It's the same, you can't keep up with my pace. And go ahead and try to throw something, but I'm not going to be there. Hence is why he's called the Magician. He trains in Albuquerque. He has 3 rounds, and to think he has 3 rounds to expend all that energy, and I can't name another fighter that moves as much as John Dodson. It's almost annoying how much this guy moves, but it's effective because you can't find the rhythm. But he's fighting a guy who's much taller, and Marlon Moraes coming out of Brazil, straight out of Rio de Janeiro too, and he's got a Ricardo Almeida Jiu-Jitsu background, and he's also training at Valor. So,
I gotta say, you mentioned height. Most of the guys, if you go look, most of the guys John Dodson ends up fighting are usually taller than him. Is 3 inches? Do you feel like that's an extreme difference in height for him?
I don't think it's that extreme. I think the only extreme thing in this fight that Dodson's got to be careful about, but this is what he preps for. He trains against power shots. So all Moraes has is a jiu-jitsu background, which that's not going to work against Dodson. You're not going to catch him. He's like a rabbit. And if he does hit the ground, he's right back up. So I don't see that happening. I'm just going to eliminate that from my mind. Then I have to go to the striking. Well, I really like Marlon. I can see where you're thinking this is a really, really tough fight. Because Moraes is so strong. Like he packs a serious punch. He's good in the clinch. He likes to make the fight dirty.
Right.
But it's because of that's probably going to get him screwed. I can't say for sure because especially after last weekend, anything could happen. But I think Dodson does have the experience. He does have the movement, and let's not forget Marlon has one fight in the UFC against Raphael Assuncao.
That's right.
And that's it.
That's it. That's it. However, let's not take anything away from him. You know, he comes out of World Series of Fighting and damn near undefeated in the World Series of Fighting.
Right.
So, I mean, that is why he got picked up in the UFC. He wasn't just a nobody, that's for sure.
Yep, but it's like round 1 TKO knee injury, round 2 KO head kick and punches, round 1 TKO leg kicks. You know, he's suited. He's a 1 to 2 round fighter, and if you know anything about Dodson,
he's taking you.
He's taking you, and he's taking you, and he's taking you, and when you try to throw, he's not there. So I'm gonna bet on the movement of John Dodson on this one, and I feel good because I see it from a martial art perspective. You know, I do think timing and rhythm, if you have it in the right, what's the word I'm looking for? If you've developed that into the right game plan, which Dodson always does correctly, even when he loses, it's just because he didn't apply enough volume with his striking or connect enough.
Good job,
Yeah. I mean, that was a great fight, and he moved the entire fight.
And it was 5 rounds.
So yeah, I feel good here with Dodson. But I can understand why you think it's a tough fight.
For me, it is. It's difficult. Moraes is really strong. I'm with you.
Dodson by decision, by the way.
That's what I had. I got Dodson by decision. And, you know, something that we didn't mention, he's a great boxer. I mean, Dodson really has. You mentioned his movement, which is incredible. I mean, the guy's got cardio for days and days and days. But on top of the great movement, he's got excellent speed, intense combos, and, you know, he's returning to bantamweight in this fight from flyweight. You know, God, what is it? He had 2 unsuccessful attempts at the belt versus Demetrius Johnson and a loss to John Lineker that went all 5 rounds, you know, and he lost that by a split decision. The dude can bang, dude, with the best of them. John Lineker throws, right? Demetrius Johnson, I feel bad for the guy because I think that's what made him come up a weight class. He realized that, you know, he had his 2 shots at the belt. As long as DJ's down there, he had to do something different. I think I saw something on him where he was saying that he could just keep eating. This was his walk around weight, so he didn't even have to make a cut. I'll be interested to see how he does right here and see if it's affected his cardio. And anyways, I'm with you though. At 3 rounds, who cares? You know, I trust in that all day long in Dodson. So yeah, I'm with you completely. I am taking him by decision. I don't think I don't know that he can finish that big boy in Moraes. Vegas has John Dodson slightly favored, -120. So got
disrespect, man.
Got Moraes at -110. So
I think that's one of those fights that should be -175 Dodson, just because of what he's achieved.
Yeah.
In comparison, there's not even a pedestal there. Like, I mean, why is that fight favored so closely, considering the guys that Dodson fights every 3 months?
Yeah, they must see something that we don't, you know. That's all I can tell you.
It's just a KO highlight reel for Marlon in the World Series of Fighting, and that's what people are like thinking the hype's all about. But who knows? I mean, it could happen.
Hey, anything can happen, right? After this past weekend. Oh, my Lord. So, yes, let's see. That brings us to another excellent fight, lightweight division. Joe Lauzon versus Clay Guida. I'm really excited about this fight. Are you?
Kinda.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm an old school Clay Guida fan. I mean, Guida's been around as long as dirt. He's so fast, cardio for days. I'm really and truly since the beginning to where he's at now, he's improved the holes in his game throughout the years. He's got great takedowns, also really, really excellent takedown defense. You know, when the good Guida shows up to fight and he brings the whole package, dude, he's so well-rounded, man. He amazes me because when the guy's on, he looks he looks well. I like him. I mean, he's an exciting fighter. I've always liked him. But I can say the same thing about Lauzon. Lauzon, another huge veteran of the sport. This guy's got he shares. I don't remember who he shares it with, but he shares it with one other fighter for the most fight bonuses in the UFC. I mean, that should say it all. In his last, I went back and I watched his fight with, Scotland's pride and joy, Stevie Ray, and that one was in April, and Stevie won that by majority decision. I personally disagreed with the call. I think it was 2 rounds for one, by Lauzon, or a draw for that matter. But it totally depends on. How you view it. Obviously, the judges didn't see it that way. But you know what? Seriously, and I'll just stop at this and let you give me all your thoughts. But I really believe this fight, it's going to depend on which Joe Lauzon shows up to fight. If the guy that comes out and just gives it everything he's got in the first round and then just doesn't quite pack the punch through the second and third, if that guy comes to play, he's going to be beat. He's going to be out, technically struck, and taken down by Guida, I think. However, if the Lauzon comes out that fights with high fight IQ, the dude's a smart dude. He's a smart cat. And if he's smart with Guida and he can pace himself and manage to keep Guida at distance, use the jab effectively, and keep Guida out there jumping around like a mad caveman that he is, he can really do damage with kicks and strikes. But if you get in close with Guida, that's where he wants you. He wants to get in, he wants to brawl, and he wants to get in and out. So he pops in, bang, 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 throws 3, 4, sometimes 5 shot combinations, and then he tries to back out. And then he's back on his move, bouncing around. He can win fights like that because he's a point striker, and he grinds it, man. He'll get you if he gets you on the ground. His wrestling skills look really good. He can control his opponents, especially from top work. Man, this one's really hard for me, and I know that I'm going against probably what the majority feel here. But I liked Guida in his last fight, and I'm pulling for him, so I'm saying Guida by decision here. What you got?
Oh my God! Yeah, this fight's tough because you're watching 2 legends go at it, and one legend, his career got really rocky, and then the other legend has kind of been able to stuck around and fight these top tier guys that are coming up, but he is losing every other fight to these guys. So I'm literally just going to keep this fight simple and not get too crazy into the analytics and go Joe Lauzon. What did I write down? Joe Lauzon, round 2 submission. I think that if, just like what you said, if the smart IQ'd Joe shows up, he's going to be able to find something sneaky with all that size. He's 4 to 5 inches taller than Guida. And I think that's a big factor in this fight. But then again, if Guida comes out with aggressiveness and is shooting for the double leg real hard and commits to it, I'm not sure that game plan is the right game plan against a guy like Joe. He's crafty. He's a veteran. He knows what to do with oncoming pressure. What he just doesn't know what to do with are these high caliber strikers that just keep getting the best of him. But he's still able to go 3 to 5 rounds with these guys. I don't think Guida would go 3 rounds with Stevie Ray. Do you?
Whew. Man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. After his last fight with Eric Koch,
Oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to get.
I mean, he came back and he went those 3 full hard rounds, won that by unanimous decision. Man, it's hard. If that's the guy that's coming, it's going to be hard. And, I always say this, but I tend to find that it's true. I should probably pick Lauzon simply because it's his time to win. He's one loss.
Yeah.
Well, his last one was a loss. So,
right.
Statistically speaking,
he's a responsive fighter. You're right. That's a good point. He's a very responsive fighter. He does not like to catch 2 losses in a row, whereas Guida, he'll lose 2, win 1, lose 3, win 1. But I don't know. Like the Guida we saw in his last fight against Coach or Koch, or however you say his last name, you know, that guy was intense, and he showed up to the weigh-in intense, and he showed up. You could see something in his eye, and we knew we were in trouble after the weigh-in. But at the same time, you know, is Joe the type of guy to get intimidated by anything? Because you can't really outcraft him in any maneuver of martial arts. He's got a little bit of everything. So I'm going to go Joe here, submission round 2, but I could very easily see in Clay make this fight ugly. And if Clay wants to win this fight, he has to make it ugly.
Well, this is also Clay's second fight back at his return to lightweight. And I was really impressed with that first fight with Eric at lightweight. I mean, he looked like himself again. I was shocked. So if that's the guy that shows up, it's going to be surprising because, you know, you mentioned height. However, you know, when it comes to reach, Clay's one of those dudes that's got long, lanky arms, and he's only shy by 1 inch in reach. So although he lacks 3 inches in height, you'd think that would show up more in his reach, and it doesn't. So, man, you're right. This is a tough fight. Lauzon should win this if it's in the first round. I think if it goes out of the first round, everything leans towards Guida. So, let's see. What do we say? Did I say Vegas odds? No. Vegas odds has got Joe Lauzon at -110 and Guida at -120. Even. How you like that, huh? That's a good one. Man, right? That's a good one. So, yeah, these are just, I mean, to me, this looks like a great free card. If you were thinking about, like, not watching this lineup, I don't know why. It's a great lineup. It's a great lineup for free. Man, I don't know why you'd miss it. So, our next fight, we have bantamweight division, Raphael Assuncao versus Matthew Lopez. Am I correct there? Yes, sir, you are correct. Okay, yeah, I am right in line. So, yeah, please tell me what you know. So, I know that Raphael Assuncao is one of my favorites. He's coming right out of Brazil. He's got 10 submission victories, 12 decision wins, and 3 wins by TKO. So that makes it 25 wins and 5 losses. He's been knocked out once. He has 1 submission loss and 3 losses by decision as well. So, but all of those were hard fought. And we're talking, this guy has fought everybody: Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw, Brian Caraway, Pedro Munoz, Von Lee, Mike Easton. You know, the list just goes on and on with this guy, and he's been around forever. He's 35. He's super smart. He's super good on the ground. He's crafty. He's tricky. Is he slowing down? I would say a little bit. If you go look at his wins, he's won 4 out of the last 5 by decision. Lost 1 by decision to TJ Dillashaw in 2016. And yeah, man, this cat's got it all, but he's fighting Matthew Lopez, and I am done doubting Matthew Lopez. This kid's wrestling and his heart and his ability to just stay on top and grind you out. He's the bigger man in this at 5'7", and I think Assuncao is 5'4" or 5'5". And Matthew is not the guy you want to be bigger in a fight against, because his whole game plan is, once you're on the ground, I'm going to ride you out and I'm going to grind you. And for some reason, I don't know, there's something about Matt that I like. I was originally going to go Assuncao, just looking at the matchup, and then I realized, holy shit, man, if you go look at that fight against Aljamain Sterling and Marlon Moraes, it's consistency. It's consistency. He knows what works for him. He puts it together. He knows he's a big, what are they? I think featherweights? Bantamweights, right. You know, he knows he's a real big bantamweight for his size, and as long as you're neutralizing guys like that, that's the game plan we love, and I've really come to love the grind. So I'm going to go Lopez here, and I know it's a really big upset. No, man, I'm loving this. I'm shocked because I thought for sure you'd go Assuncao. You know, you started right off, oh, man, I love Assuncao, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
But you know, you hit it. Yeah, Assuncao, great feet work, good on the ground, really well-rounded fighter. You know, you mentioned all his attributes. Lopez, I'm right there with you, man. I'm so in love with his grappling skills. Dude, this guy puts. I was just gonna say it. So let me finish. No, dude, heavy pressure on the ground with great takedowns. You know, that to me wins fights. It's the grind. You hit the one key factor to this was exactly what I saw. He seems to be the bigger guy. He's also coming in from a southpaw stance. It might throw Assuncao off just a hair, and you know how hard it is to train for that. But then you've got the wrestling, high level wrestling skills on top of what he's able to deliver with some heavy hands. So you know, who knows? I think he's probably going to avoid the stand up at all costs, because that to me, Assuncao, you know, that's where you don't want to be. You know, is at his range. You know, because when he finds his distance, man, he's a hell of a striker. So,
guys, if you're looking for a dog and you really want to hit big and you feel like gambling, but gambling appropriately with a good cause and good reason, guys, take Matt. I'm telling you, Assuncao likes pulling guard. He operates out of it, and it takes him a little bit to get up. He's not one of those guys that just immediately scrambles, because he's using IQ in his fight, and Lopez takes the IQ from you. It doesn't matter what you have. If Lopez ends up on top, he's staying inside mount. He's staying in full guard.
Right.
He's staying in full mount, and he's not letting you get up.
And he's able to neutralize the jiu-jitsu by doing just that, by staying heavy, chest to chest, knee to belly at times.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, again, I'm shocked because even Vegas has, you know, like you said, has Assuncao the heavy favorite at plus 325. You know, Lopez at plus 250. I don't think that's that doesn't really reflect the fighter in Lopez at all, in my opinion. So I'm good with that. I'm okay with that. It's not one of these ones. I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not sure about the fight as far as betting. I feel truly it could go either way. And that is my feeling, is that it could go either way. But I think Lopez has all the skills to neutralize Assuncao and actually grind this to a win. I even more so than a win. I'm projecting Lopez by a second round knockout or TKO. And who knows?
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I just think I don't know, man. One of those visions, I guess.
I got Lopez by decision.
All right. Well, then we'll move on. I got to remember that one because that's shocking to me. Can't believe you went against your boy. Okay, next fight is in the middleweight division. We got Nate Marquardt versus Cezar Ferreira.
Ferreira,
yeah.
Yeah, tell me what you know.
Well, you know, you talk about a veteran in the sport, Nate Marquardt. My God, you know, the one thing that stands out if you go look at his record is, man, the losses have just continued to pile up. He's one of those fighters that I really am not sure why he's still around. You know, why he's still here in the UFC. I don't know how many consecutive losses he's put together, but it's one of those records where you look at it and go, should he still be here? You know, I don't know how you feel about that, but he's been fighting since 2000 whatever. He was a former Strikeforce champion back in the day. He fought huge names all over his record. I mean, it's just it's a list of who's who all the way down. But now I believe Nate's on that backswing, and he's on his way out, man. Ferreira. The incredible story about Ferreira is he was trained by Vitor Belfort at an early age and has been his mentor and his trainer and has literally taken him under his wing. He's got great skills on his feet, on the ground. He's improved his striking since his UFC debut. I think, you know, like threefold anyhow. So he's become very, very well-rounded. He is my choice, but it's going to be by decision because I don't know if he has. I don't know if he can actually finish Big Nate. I don't know, but I definitely think he's capable of grinding out the win by points. And if he can keep Marquardt from taking him down and winding up on top, I think he's probably got this one. How are you seeing it?
I'm seeing it the exact way you are, but I think that Cezar really gets the knockout here. I think I put, round 2 TKO. Only because Nate the Great 420, he was born on 420. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
He's getting too old.
Is he 38 years old now?
Yeah, you go look at this cat's record, and it's just too bloody red. I mean, it's just hard to put any money on this guy and feel good because you don't know when he's going to show up. If Nate actually came in and used his wrestling and used his big frame and maybe had a game plan similar to Clay Guida, I'd be saying, I'd have a different, something different to talk about for this fight. But now I'm feeling good for Ferreira here. He's the bigger fighter too. I don't know if you knew that. And he's been fighting more relevant guys and choking them out, like Jack Hermanson, put him in an arm triangle. He's beat Anthony Smith. He beat Bangbosa. He's fighting more relevant guys, and he's managing to get wins. So, I'm good there.
Well, he's only 1 inch taller, but he does have a 4-inch reach advantage over Marquardt. Marquardt, the one thing that I just noticed, his last loss was to Vitor Belfort, ironically, in June of this year. And I think it's pretty wild that now he has to face his prodigy in Cezar. It's going to be very, very interesting, to say the least, because, like you said, man, Marquardt, it's just you can't trust him. I mean, if you wanted to put, I don't think if you wanted to put money on, I don't think you could trust that as a sure thing by any means. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's let's see, what has Vegas got? Vegas has Cezar Ferreira negative 285. Wow, Nate Marquardt at plus 225. So yeah, looks like the world sees it that way too for now.
Yeah, that record, you just can't. Your dime's not safe with Marquardt.
Yeah, but and how did you call it?
Round 2 TKO.
Okay, all right, good deal. Well, either way, we at least we both got the same pick. You got TKO round 2. I got by decision. So either way, I'll take the win. Our next fight is in what is it, heavyweight? Sorry.
Heavyweight Arlovski versus Albini.
Yeah, big junior Albini, man. I like that kid's story, dude. He is so unassuming. You know what I'm saying? His knockout on Tim John, I had to go back and watch that one just because I was like, can this guy really throw? But anyways, his knockout on Tim Johnson at that UFC debut was just, it was amazing. It really was. I mean, he's so deceiving due to his body and the way he looks and his approach. And then he gets in the ring and he's got really good, surprisingly good feet work for a heavyweight. And he's not roided out, so the power that he has is obviously, that's natural, power, because it didn't, that the punch that knocked Johnson out wasn't a huge hook. That was I watched it a couple times, man. It was more of a close, kind of like an uppercut hook, but it didn't generate from back here. That sucker was literally just dink and just landed right on the chin. Arlovski, he's fighting out of Chicago, Illinois. His last fight with Marcin Tybura, he just didn't look like the former fighter that that used to be Andrei. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens there. Andrei, of course, I just don't feel like we need to spend a whole lot of time on Andrei because he's just he's a legend of the sport, and he's one of those guys that I just keep going, how long can he do this? How long can he go? How are you seeing this one?
Albini's gonna fuck Arlovski up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. I got a round 1 KO TKO finish for Junior here. Yeah, these guys are fighting for. They're at opposite ends of their careers, and they're fighting for opposite reasons. Albini is fighting to climb the ladder, and he can do that. He knows he can do that if he can get a finish over a legend like Arlovski. And Arlovski, I guess, needs another fight and needs a little bit of money to make off of his name. I don't know why you're still in, dude. I don't know why you keep getting put out over and over again.
Well, hey, I don't mean to interrupt, but the real question is, why does the UFC continue to let him fight? I mean, he should have already dropped down to Bellator or something else. I mean, he's had 5 consecutive losses straight.
Now, it's because at one point he was considered the greatest heavyweight, you know?
Yeah, but, I mean, 5 straight losses in the UFC spells disaster for anybody else, right?
Especially against a guy like Junior.
And what I do, I challenge you to go out and find another fighter that has 5 consecutive losses and is still in the UFC. And that's my biggest hang-up here, is like this guy's been, I mean, and he's just consecutively getting taken out by a submission or a TKO. It's just over and over, from Stipe, Overeem, Josh Barnett, Francis Ngannou. Again, last fight with Tybura. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I have no hope in the guy at all. There's no reason, in my opinion, to bet on him. And Albini seems to have all the... I mean, and another thing, Andrei's chin has become glass, in my opinion. If you dent that chin just right, man, it drops him down 2 levels. He gets back up, hit him again in the chin. And it's over. It's over.
Yeah, I got an interesting bet for everybody on this one. I'm actually going to put it in after I see the weigh-in. I just want to make sure Albini makes weight and I'm not doing anything dumb. But I want to know the odds on the round 1 KO from Albini. And whatever they are, I'm sure I'm going to take it. Arlovski's chin is glass. He's been hit by the hardest guys in the division for way too long, and he continues to just parry under pressure. So, yeah, I'm going to feel safe taking that bet. Is it gambling? Yes, because I'm calling the round and the decision, and the way it's going to end. But I know my odds here are good with that, so I'm going to go for it.
I got Albini by first round KO TKO.
Yep, me too.
Vegas has Albini -285, Arlovski at +225. So, yeah, that says all you need to know. All day on Albini, right?
All day.
Although I said that last week about a few people too. So, okay, our next fight is Matt Brown versus Diego Nightmare Sanchez. What a fight, dude. I'm actually really excited about this fight. I think I heard rumor this might be Diego's last fight. Did you hear anything like that?
I don't know. You never know with Diego, man. He's so emotional that it's one way 1 second, and then he's at the next gym training with TJ Dillashaw. Let's just say next week. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, these guys, both of them. I mean, we're talking veterans of the sport again. This is. I'm trying to keep my emotional points out of this because, you know, I'm a huge Sanchez fan, and I've never been a big Brown fan. So Brown's been in the UFC since 2008. He came in on the 7th season of the Ultimate Fighter TV series. He's out of Elevation Fight Team. His last fight, 3 fights have been losses, but they were losses to some pretty big names. He lost to Cerrone when Donald came up a weight class. And Nightmare Sanchez, he also came off the Ultimate Fighter. He was on season 1, actually. He was the winner. He won versus Kenny Florian. He was born, raised, lives, and trains out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Straight out of one of our favorite gyms, Jackson Wink MMA Academy. Head coach is Greg Jackson. You couldn't have finer people pushing you, telling you what to do. You couldn't have better choice of a team in your corner, in my opinion. And he has delivered stunning fights throughout the years.
So many
exciting fights. I mean, I hate to say this, but these guys are going to have no problem making making the Hall of Fame simply because of how long they have fought in the UFC and the people that they fought and what they accomplished. And it's always exciting. Both of them, really. And like I said, I'm not trying to take anything from Matt Brown here at all. I'm just a bigger fan of Diego Sanchez. But again, I don't have to go. You want to see what these guys do? Just go to Wikipedia and put in their names and just take a look at the huge list of names that go on and on and on. It's pretty amazing. Diego Sanchez, just his record alone from the get-go. He started fighting in 2002, and if you follow him, I mean, this guy was undefeated into 2006, or excuse me, 2007. And he lost against Josh Koscheck, man. God, I remember that fight. That's crazy. That was 10 years ago. But I mean, still, you keep going and you follow this guy, and he beat Clay Guida, Joe Stevenson, Joe Daddy, in his prime. You know what I'm saying? Paulo Thiago, Gomi. Ross Pearson.
He beat Nick Diaz.
He beat Jim Miller. He beat Marcin Held. I mean, huge names, dude. I mean, I don't know. Like the guy, like I said, I could go on and on about him. He's just a huge contributor to the sport, and I think we'll definitely see him in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, Vegas has Matt Brown heavily favored, negative 340. Diego Sanchez plus 260, and that is exactly kind of how I feel about it. I don't think Sanchez stands a chance. He's the smaller fighter in this exchange. I took Brown by decision. It could actually get stopped, but I'm going to go by decision. I'm hoping that Sanchez doesn't have to get hurt real bad in this fight. I don't want to see him go out like that if he really is considering this to be his last fight, if the rumor is true. But yeah, I took Brown, and like I said, it looks like Vegas and everyone else is seeing it that way too. How about you? What are your feelings?
Oh man, just two legends, and God, I love Nightmare, and that's probably the reason I'm taking him here. Just kidding, it's not. The real reason I'm taking Nightmare is because he's a responsive fighter, meaning when he loses, he usually wins after he loses, and he took a really hard loss, a really embarrassing loss with La Quinta, and that's why the odds are that favored, because nobody saw that coming. La Quinta came in as a new fighter, and now that just, I guess, ruins Diego's career, and we're forgetting right before that he went 3 rounds with Marcin Held and pretty much dominated. So I think that he has the heart, and I think that he has the emotional drive to do it over Matt. And when I look at Matt's career right now, he's lost. I mean, he's fought the greatest guys in the division, but 5 out of 6 fights are losses, and I don't feel confident in that. Going with a guy that's coming off of 3 losses, and I know that he went 3 rounds with Donald Cerrone. He got knocked out in the first round by Jake Ellenberger, who's much shorter. And then he got put out and choked out by Damian Maia in the 3rd round. So, I don't know how to feel confident about this fight. I'm literally just picking Diego because of the rhythm I'm seeing in his career is lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win 1. And with Matt Brown, I don't see a pattern. It's either you're winning or you're losing, and right now he is losing. So I'm going Nightmare by decision.
All right. Well, man, we're at odds on a lot of these fights, so it's going to be exciting for us. I'm anxious to see what the rest of the MMA community out there, if you're listening, leave comments, because as you can see, we've got plenty that we are at odds with, and we're going head-to-head here at SDP. So if you've got a choice on some of these that you hear a difference, do me a favor. Get down there to the comments section. Just say what's up, if anything, and tell us your thoughts. If you agree, disagree, whatever it may be, let us know something. Let us know you're out there, man. We'll definitely get back to you and say what's up. All right, our last fight. Main event.
Main event.
We have Anthony Pettis versus Dustin Poirier. And this is in what division? That is the lightweight division. That's right. Anthony Pettis has come up to lightweight. And, man, this fight, the more I got to thinking about it, the more exciting I think I've become, simply because I know the possibilities here.
It's a great main event.
Right? Dustin Poirier, I mean, this kid, he's still improving. 28 years old. Oh, God. Fights out of American Top Team. Used to be with Gladiators Academy. He's got a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Poirier has blown me away time and time again. When I didn't think he was going to win, he pulls off the win. We were at his last fight at UFC 211 here in Dallas, and it was versus Eddie Alvarez. And it was
bullshit stoppage.
It was called, you know, those new rules about having a hand down, and I don't know why we can't all get on the same page on that. I have no idea why some states haven't adopted the new rules. Some states have. I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. But either way, it was an illegal knee to Poirier's head from Alvarez, and they ended up stopping it and called it a no contest due to illegal knee strikes. So, I mean, it sucked, dude. The crowd was so bummed, but I got to be honest with you. In the end, watching those two up on the stage, you know, and hearing both of them, what they had to say, mad respect for each other. So, both of them talked about even a rematch, if I remember correctly, and I'd love to see that fight again. Those two, you know, it was vicious. It really was. I was absolutely impressed with Dustin Poirier in that fight. He was. I think it was just going to be a great fight, you know, between the two of them. So I was really, really sorry to see it come to such an abrupt end. Eddie is my boy. I love watching Eddie fight. I probably have to lean on him if it comes back around. I know I had Eddie the first time. I think you had Dustin. No, you had Eddie too?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think if that does come back around, I'll lean on Eddie. But, you know, Dustin's, like I said, he's improved. He's had some impressive wins. Big win over Jim Miller. Big win over Bobby Green. KO on Bobby Green, by the way, from punches. Unanimous decision over Joseph Duffy. We just saw him fight this past weekend. That's a tough fight. I like the guy. I mean, I just like him. He's so well-rounded, and he's bringing a lot to each and every fight. And at 5 rounds, I know that he's capable of doing it. I haven't seen him go the distance yet, but I know he's got great cardio. Speaking of great cardio, across the ring from him, we've got the former champion Anthony Pettis, and equally as impressive of a career, Anthony Pettis has had some ups and downs, and he's been injury prone. He fights out of Rufus Sport. His main trainer's Duke Rufus himself. Fights out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again, you want to see this guy's record, go pull it up and have a look for yourself. I could go on and on and on, but when you got 26 matches to look at and 20 of those are wins, 7 by knockout, 9 by submission, there's plenty to see and plenty to go kind of get your fill. I mean, he's something in the featherweight division. He was on such a streak there. And then he started taking some heavy losses. In the lightweight division, Rafael dos Anjos, really got the best of him. Eddie Alvarez really got the best of him. Edson Barbosa really got the best of him. And, then he dropped down to featherweight. And, that's where he tried to take a stand against Charles Oliveira. And he got his first win there and then turned right around and tried for got a chance to go for the featherweight championship against Max Holloway. And he lost that by a nasty TKO on Holloway's part. And then he decided, okay, we'll go back to lightweight. And he won against Jim Miller, and that is one hell of an impressive fight, you know, because Jim Miller is a banger. And he went all 3 rounds with Jim, won that by unanimous decision. But is he the fighter that we kind of grew up watching? You know, does he still have those impressive wins in him? I haven't seen anything at his return to lightweight to show me that yet, except that the kid still got really good cardio. Everything in this fight is telling me Dustin Poirier, and it's really a tough call for me because I know that Pettis has all the skills to make this happen. I guess I'll start off before we tell you. Vegas has got Pettis slightly favored at -135, Poirier at +105. But Pettis is a former champ. Poirier has not been a champ. Maybe that has a little something to do with it. I don't know. But that is really, really close odds for a championship fight. And I'm glad to see it because it makes me feel a little bit more confident in my pick with Poirier.
For a main event fight, not a championship, right?
Excuse me, for a main event. Yeah, for a main event fight.
Right, yeah. It's a good fight because, like, I like what both guys do on their feet, but you're right. Poirier's looked really good since he made that transition to top team. Like, I think he's good in every area of his game right now. But is he as precise as Anthony Pettis? I don't think so. Anthony Pettis is a little bit taller. Yeah, I'm going to go Anthony Pettis here. I think at some point, and I was having a hard time making the call for this. What did I write down? I said TKO round 3, but I don't know really what to call on this fight because there's so many great combinations of things from both fighters. Pettis is a surgical striker with lots of the ability to throw shit that you've never even seen before. He's so unorthodox. He's trained with his brother, and that's made his brother inevitably tough and inevitably him tougher, considering that he actually got the belt. So, and the other thing about Pettis is the only time he's lost is by decision, and I think the only time he lost his one KO on his record wasn't even to the head. It was like he got kicked in the body by somebody. Who was that? I can't find it, but I think he got kicked in the body, and that's how that went down. So he's never actually even been knocked out, whereas Poirier's been knocked out twice, and that one by Michael Johnson was just ugly, and that was in round 1 too. So I'm going to go Anthony Pettis here, round 3 TKO, but I'm not confident because this is a new Anthony Pettis we're looking at. Did you say he dropped or gained weight? It's one of the two.
He gained.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's not so depleted. It looks like, I mean, that fight, he looked good against Jim Miller, and he broke his hand in the first round and still was able to just put it on the guy for 3 rounds straight. And it makes you wonder if he had his main hit or his main load hand, if that wasn't broken that fight, I wonder what would have happened. But yeah, I'm going to go Anthony Pettis. You take Poirier, I'll take Pettis.
I'm telling you, man, you and I are going to be, it's going to be loud up in this house this coming Saturday night.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's the fights, though. I mean, it's really not us. It really isn't. I mean, like Diego Sanchez, Matt Brown, what do you...
That's tough. You know, there's a lot of them. To me, in my opinion, there's a lot of them on the card like that. All right, man, we are way deep, and we still got a lot to cover. But yeah, so we'll get started, man. We got a great lineup coming Saturday night, so we'll definitely be back here next week to be able to talk about that. Just as we are going to begin right now talking about. Oh, and good luck to everybody on those picks because man, those are tough. So we'll start our post-fight analysis on UFC 217, Bisbang versus St. Pierre. First fight of the night, we had Ayman Zahabi, versus Ricardo Llanos. We both picked Zahabi. However, Llanos wound up getting an amazing knockout in the 3rd round by a spinning elbow. It was sick. Like, it shocked us. It stunned us completely because Zahabi had without a doubt, had that fight in the bag. It was his. All he had to do really was avoid a huge strike, and that fight was his.
Yep, and God, can we just make these quick, please?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So the next one was Arlovski Oleinik versus Curtis Blades. Blades won that by second round TKO. Doctor came in and stopped it.
Weird doctor stoppage. Strange. I mean, one of the few doctor stoppages or referee stops. I mean, I don't. You explain this, please. I don't. This one's nuts to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, the ref called the doctor in. The doctor came in, looked at him, and after some communication back and forth, and him running the light across his face, turned around and said he couldn't continue.
Yeah, and the weird thing is Curtis. They stopped the fight because I guess Curtis swung after the ref had tried to break the fight, and the shot missed. So in New York, I guess they allowed some type of replay in their rules now. And when they went and looked into the replay, he didn't hit him after the bell. And when the doctor came in, Oleinik was already saying, like, I can't go. I'm done. I'm done. You remember that? Yeah. And right then and there, the doctor put his hands up and, like, started waving off the fight. And the crowd went nuts because if you look at the replay, Oleinik was never hit. So why was the fight stopped?
Crazy.
I don't know.
Crazy, man. That was nuts. Crazy. That's all I can say. You got it, though, right? You had Blades?
I did.
I had Oleinik, so either way you would have taken that no matter what because Oleinik was getting slammed. Then the next fight was Randy Brown versus Mickey Gall. And Brown ended up just, like, overpowering Mickey Gall. First time I'd really ever seen it. And won that by unanimous decision. I mean, that one shocked me. I think I just really didn't think Randy Brown could control Mickey Gall like that.
Yeah, it's a good note to have on Randy Brown, but I'm going to be honest, this fight showed a lot between both fighters, and I don't think they're elite at all. I think that they will hang around in the bottom rankings for a while until one of them really puts it together. I wasn't very impressed either way.
Well, then we had Ovin St. Preux versus Corey Anderson. St. Preux won by a third-round knockout.
Nasty head kick. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was dirty, wasn't it? I mean, Corey stiffened up and just fell. It was horrible. And did you see OSP? I mean, he knew it was over with. He didn't even react. The kick landed and he just walked away. I mean, it was just no question whatsoever in his mind that he had finished the job. It blew me away. I came out of nowhere.
Scary part about that kick, too, is OSP was arguably down 2 rounds. So what we got stolen from us earlier with the Zahabi fight, we kind of stole back in the Corey Anderson OSP fight.
Right. Well, the next fight was just it was just a roller coaster of emotions, really, because this next one with Walt Harris and Mark Godbeer.
Oh my God!
I mean, it was crazy. You know, Harris kicks Godbeer in the head, and when the ref was stepping in to stop the action because a low blow got thrown. And, you know, Walt threw a kick, clipped the ear of Godbeer.
Barely clipped him. And the ref, you know, called the ref in. I mean, called the doctor in on that one too, didn't he? Yep. And
they went over, and basically it was just a big scrum there at the fence. And next thing you know, I saw them turn around and wave it off, and we were both just like, what is happening? What's going on? But they said that Godbeer couldn't continue, so he wound up winning by DQ.
When the ref entered the cage, Mark just looked at him immediately and was like, I can't go anymore. And I don't understand, how do you win a fight like that?
Well, he I don't know, unless he just thought he was losing.
And he was getting his ass kicked, but you don't. Walt Harris has a loss on his record in a fight that he was whooping ass in.
Yep.
I mean, I'm so let down.
Well, again, it was really, that whole night was hard to swallow. It really was. But the next fight, I had a little bit of redemption. James Vick versus Joe Duffy. Vick had a second-round TKO, uppercut, and then jumped right on Duffy and finished up with some vicious ground and pound. Really proud of my boy Vick. Surprised, I think, again, surprised the world. You know, last time he did that against Polo Reyes, he did the same thing, man. Everybody counted him out, and you know, he comes out and he gets a knockout, and nobody predicted that. I mean, I need to start putting money on Vick for the knockout because, man, he's doing it, dude. He must have extreme power in those punches. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't look like they're heavy punches at all, and yet they're turning lights out on guys.
Yeah, I mean, way to go, Vic. The dude got a uppercut knockout on Joe Duffy, out of all people, too.
Yeah.
And he got it right when he needed it, because that round one went really tough for him. Joe was doing crazy, weird boxing movement and feinting the jab and kind of picking James off. And I don't know what James's corner told him, but he came out and was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's see what we got here, and slipped an uppercut that nobody saw coming, dropped Joe immediately. It was done. So way to go to our Texas boy.
Hell yeah, bringing one home for the Texas fans. Appreciate the hell out of that, James. And, man, I've been repping hard, dude, so hopefully one day you'll see this and reach out to me and we'll finally get to do some hog hunting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah! Okay, next fight, we had Johnny Hendricks versus Paulo Costa. Borrachina, as he no longer wants to be called, as we've been told. Yeah, man, dude, all I'm going to say about that one is poor Johnny. I said that from the very get-go. I said it last week. Costa finished him with a TKO in second round. I just absolutely feel bad for Hendricks. I really do. He's just getting bullied. And
time to wrap it up.
It's time, man. Hang up the gloves, because I'm tired of seeing you get hurt. And arguably, Costa might be doing roids, dude. He just looks so massively huge. And I know there's an argument out there. Somebody called him out about it this week. I already saw something online, and somebody was calling him out, and I guess he came back pretty angry, saying he wasn't using PEDs and whatever.
He's pretty juicy.
Dude, he's pretty juicy. You're right, man. But anyways, yeah, he got that second round TKO. And yeah, big hands, man, just like everything we predicted on that one. Next fight.
2 in a row for you.
Next fight, we had Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Jorge Masvidal. Thompson ended up winning that one by unanimous decision. And, yeah, man.
You mind if I talk about this one real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, Thompson... The reason why I want to talk about this fight is there's something to note here. Thompson executed the plan, the point striking, perfect. Like, if
always does.
If there's one fight you have to go watch masterful striking done, this is it. Jorge couldn't catch the timing. Jorge couldn't figure out the movement. Jorge couldn't even establish a game plan that was worthy to be in the octagon with Stephen. And Stephen, like, what? Salsa dancing, it looked like. Looked like he's been taking polka part-time. Looked like he's been doing Zumba, and then mixed that into a karate stance. And the dude is just a cat on his feet. He's in, he's out, he's out, he's in. Right when you think he's out, he's in. Yeah, man, that dude... Wow, like if he could have had that performance against Woodley, that belt would be gone.
Man, I am so impressed by Wonder Boy. And again, I mean, I picked him over Masvidal. Went all 3 rounds, but, you know, like you said, Thompson picked him apart in every way. And in my personal opinion, Masvidal's a loser. I mean, I know you like him as a fighter, but, dude, he's just a thug. You know, when he opens his mouth, it just... You know, I hear nothing but trash come out the majority of the time. I don't respect him. Maybe I respect his fight game, but I don't respect him as a person, as a human being. You know, he came out and he pretty much said that he wanted some media props, and that's why he pulled that little stunt with Bisping. You know, he said that he felt like everyone else who pulls something stupid or comes out and calls somebody out gets what they want, or gets some notoriety, or gets some instant fame in the UFC. Bisping said it absolutely perfectly as he literally walked off saying, "Who the hell's that guy?" And somebody said, "Oh, that's Jorge Masvidal." And he turned around and he said, "You know what, dude? Fuck you. Go beat Stephen Thompson, and then you can talk to me, okay? But don't come up here calling me out when you've got to fight tomorrow night too." And that's pretty much what he said. And then Masvidal pretty much called him a faggot, which was just, I mean, it's just trash, dude. He's a trashy fighter. He's a trashy guy. I have absolutely no respect for him, and I'm so thankful he got exactly what he deserved. I wanted to see his ass knocked out. I'm sorry Thompson couldn't do it, but you were absolutely correct, man. Everything that Thompson did that night, he put on a class, a master class on how to outstrike and outpoint your opponent. And he did it on every level. So, yeah, I'm with you, man, 100%. So the next fight, here
we go. Get ready to start your words.
Well, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Rose Namajunas. Namajunas came out and stunned the world, stunned our house, blew everybody away, I think, with her first round stoppage of Joanna, straight TKO. And my God, I mean, some could even say that Joanna submitted from punches. You know, I mean, I heard her say she didn't tap. I watched that, and she said she wasn't tapping due to the strikes, but that's not what we saw. She was because she wasn't in her right frame of mind when she was tapping. I mean, she had already taken some huge vicious strikes. And probably just, she had cobwebs, dude. She didn't know what she was doing, what she was saying, what she actually did at that moment, I don't think. So, I don't know. Maybe she's had time to watch the film. She sees things a little bit differently. But nonetheless, man, Rose came out. Call it a lucky shot. I guess we have to wait till we see her defend the belt. But, man, she not only got that lucky, huge, heavy strike that nobody else has been able to just turn the lights out on Joanna. And then, if you watch it, dude, she had cat-like skills where I've always wondered whether or not she had the tenacity to finish a fighter quickly and you know, ferociously. She executed perfectly, jumped right on top of Joanna and went straight for the ground and pound. And, dude, hands down, Rose deserved every bit of it because of what she did. I'm not going to take that away from her. We talked about levels. I still don't know that she's on the same level as Joanna. Joanna is completely devastated. Her post-fight interview was really hard to watch. You know, she got teary-eyed, and I feel really bad for her. But she's a gracious champion in defeat as well because you know, she said flat out she got the best of me. You know, she got a lucky shot, but she also wants a rematch, and granted, she deserves it. You know, she's an incredible athlete. She has represented her crown well, and I think she should get a rematch, if not immediately. What do you think?
I think you're right. You know, hats off to Rose and for probably the biggest upset of the year, but I really think it was fluky. I really think that being your first TKO on your record, and it was against Joanna. Nobody's ever like dropped Joanna and not made her been able to get back up. You know, just very fluky to me, and I would be very confused if Joanna didn't get a rematch here because. Like it was so quick. There was no feel out process. It happened within like 2 minutes. It was hard to tell like where this was gonna go, but to think that Rose did that and she doesn't TKO anybody, she doesn't drop anybody, and you dropped the undefeated champion of the world, best female martial artist there is. It just goes to show how unforgiving this sport really is, and it goes to show that this sport doesn't give a fuck what you think.
That's true.
They don't. This sport does not give a shit about what you think is going into it, what's coming out of it,
or what Vegas has to say for that matter.
Or what Vegas has to say, because that fight on top of the next 2 fights broke Vegas. And if you put a parlay in, or you hit on that Rose fight, or you called a knockout or whatever, prove it.
Good on you.
Let me see your bet slip. Let me see. I want to know.
I'm really glad you said that, because you know how I am. After we do our show, I go out throughout the rest of the week and start listening to other analysts, and I talk about what other people are doing and what they're saying. Man, I made a list last week. I just wanted to know, out of all the shows and analysts that I follow and listen to, even the MMA Pro Picks, I made a list of how many people were picking Joanna, how many people picked Rose, how many people picked Cody, how many people picked what have you. Nobody picked Rose. Not a one. And like Skylar just said, if you did, prove it. Prove it, because that'll blow me away, man.
Please prove it.
Okay, so the next fight we got Cody Garbrandt versus T.J. Dillashaw. Another absolute amazing upset. I mean, Dillashaw, second round TKO. After being completely rocked in the first round, literally had that first round had another 15, 20 seconds. I say Cody wins that fight first round. Second round, he got clipped. He got caught. And,
clean clip.
It was clean. And you know what? In the end, yet another belt turned over, except it seemed like at the end, a lot of the animosity, all the BS was kind of finally put aside for the moment. They both congratulated each other, but more importantly, in the post press conference, I was just really, really happy to see that Garbrandt was gracious in his defeat. Really having a tough time with the loss. He got teary-eyed and I felt for him, because he said it himself. I am the better fighter. I beat, I got caught. And I know that Joanna's thinking the same damn thing. So, yeah, hey, man, they're crazy. I don't know that I've ever seen a crazier night of fights. I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotion. But, yeah, boy, can you believe that one? I mean, truly.
Especially after T.J. Dillashaw dropping in the first with the exact same punch that Cody used in the training video that he revealed on his Instagram, where the big knockout video or whatever, right. Same exact punch in the same exact position. And if you watch T.J. Dillashaw get up from that shot when the bell rings, T.J. even knew it. He was like, he yells it out. He's like, fuck, I did that again. I fell into the same trap. And then we got to hear the corner of Dillashaw's corner, and they gave him the game plan to take out Cody, and he did it. Yep. It's crazy.
Amazing. Okay, we're running short on time. Last fight of the night, yet another belt exchanged between George St. Pierre. I don't even want to say his effing name. You see that? GSP versus Michael Bisping. I know a ton of it was 50-50 across the board. A lot of people, were believe in GSP. They believed in what he was going to do and what he was capable. How they knew that he was going to be able to do that after a 4-year layoff is beyond me. But you know what? More power to you. I'm not going to, I said it from the get-go, I'm not going to sit and call him names and ream on him. I've just never been a big GSP fan. I'm not on his bandwagon, whatever. He got the best of Michael Bisping that night. It was a second-round submission, rear naked choke, jumped on Bisping, flashed him really, really good, and just was quick to jump on him and do some ground and pound. And when Michael turned to the side, GSP jumped right back, pulled him back into a rear naked choke, and put him to sleep like a real champion goes out. No tapping, no BS. This boy went to sleep because he refused to tap, because he's a gladiator. He is the real Wallace. You know what I'm saying? He's the big boy on the block. I'm so sorry that we had to see that. 3 belts exchanged back to back. History made before.
What are the fucking odds?
And if you missed it and you didn't get that fight, fuck you.
Right? Fucking crazy. Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry, man, and I gotta eat a lot of words. I know I was out posting shit, talking shit, but I didn't see GSP coming out and doing his thing, and even points in his striking looked better than when he left. So I don't like GSP, but I will say this: I've never seen anybody else come out of retirement and take the belt. So props to him, respect to him. But fuck GSP. I just want to make sure that that's nice and put out there. And also, to your point about Mike being the real gladiator, not a point bitch scorer like GSP. Did you see that when he got rocked? There's no just flash knocking out Bisping. Like, even when he went down, he still was like kicking George off of him, taking the shots, moving out of the way. And normal men that take a GSP shot like that are going down and not moving. Yeah. So, I like the way Mike went out, and he went out graciously. And right after the fight, it was all gracious. I'm blessed, and I understand that, maybe I should retire, but I'm not done, and I love the sport too much, and this is why we do it, is so the upsets happen. And that was, it's cool to hear. Like, that's your real champion, So. Yep.
Well, listen, man, like I said, we've been been trying to wrap this thing up. Sorry for going long. Hopefully the timestamps help on our videos, and if you've made it this far, we sure appreciate it. We'll be back here next week, talk about the post-fight analysis on fight night, Poirier versus Pettis, this coming Saturday night. Don't forget, it's live on FS1, so make sure you get it, make sure you see it. And next week, we'll be back here. We'll be doing some pre-fight analysis on fight night, Werdum versus Tybura, Saturday, November 18th, going down in Sydney, Australia. And we've got a few good fights on there that I want to talk about. I'm anxious to get into. But yeah, man, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Nope. Just remember to give us a subscribe and tune in, man, because these fights are getting crazier and crazier. The sport is getting crazier and crazier. And the thing I keep hearing, and shout out to Will Martin again, by the way, Will said this last week, is this fight is becoming the sport of MMA is becoming increasingly harder to gauge and read. And because of that, this is why we come back every week. It's addictive by nature, because you right when you think you got a hold of, a way of thinking about fighting, there's always another fight the next week that completely contradicts everything you thought you knew. So, let us know your thoughts on that. Let us know what you have to say about last week, and, live to fight another day with SDP on MMA.
Hell yeah, and get down below there. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Every subscription helps. Give us a like if you've gotten this far. We really appreciate it. To close, we want to thank you guys for joining us yet again. Like he said, follow us on Twitter at SDP_MMA. Also on Facebook and Instagram. Any way you want to reach out to us, we're always listening, and we'll get back to you, we promise. Tune in before every UFC fight for our predictions and analysis. Come on over to our side of things. Become part of our MMA family. Leave us a comment. Let us know you're out there. Till next time, be healthy. Live to fight another day with SDP on MMA. See you next week, guys.